We're dancing in the street. There's nothing left to eat. We're on a winning streak. Coriolis style. Oh, 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 wow, goes, wow. Ah, yeah, baby. That's what I've been waiting for, and unfortunately, because I'm running out of recording space, I have to plug this. Well, that makes no difference. I've still got the same amount of recording space. Alright, so. Oh, fuck, it is warm. It's a warm day. So when you sit in the hot tub. When you sit in the hot tub on a hot day, it feels much hotter than it does on a cold one. I might have to turn the temperature down a knob or two. Anyway, I just been watching modern day debate, and just thought I'd give a little introduction, because at this time next week I will be a guest speaker on the show doing a debate. I hope the wind's not getting to the microphone there. It might be causing a bit of interference as far as I don't know. But anyway, yeah, I'll be a guest speaker, and I'm going to discuss the controversial topic of gravity. Now, this one is going to be a bit of a game changer, just as my last one was with T-Jump, about whether or not space is real, space is a hoax. And of course, yeah, who else would argue against space but yours truly? And so now I'm going to be arguing against the existence of gravity. Oh yeah, bloody oath, mate. See, this is what I do. Like, I analyse all the evidence for a particular argument, and in most cases you've got good evidence for a good argument. I can't argue against it. But when it comes to stuff of this pseudoscience of the heliocentric bullshit model that we're told about, that's where I step in, because I can deduce of whether or not something is real. I'll do it on any topic. You know, nothing fears me, nothing phases me. It's a little bit windy today. I'll do my best to try and dominate the wind from the discussion. I'll hopefully try and keep this brief. So, I know that gravity is a fake construct. It's a hypothetical construct. It's a construct that was made by the helioists, who insist we live upon a spinning space ball, and the only way you can live on the sides and the bottom of a space ball, I mean, like, here's a space beer. This is a space beer. It's apparently I'm on the outside of a spaceship spinning through space, through the vacuum of space, where, as we know, water boils instantly in a vacuum. So here I am living on the outside of a spinning space ball and quietly supping on a tonic which obeys nothing more than the laws of density and buoyancy, much like this hot tub within which I am currently soaking and trying seriously to avoid going beyond the boundaries where no man has gone before. Plenty of women, but that's another story. So here we are in the space-time continuum, hurtling through a vacuum of space, while the stuff less inclined to cling to the earth because it's air, more inclined to waft up and around and above us, disobeys the laws of where it would rather go to, because there's a thing called gravity. Gravity is not even a force, but we're told we can think of it as a force. Oh, there's the camera. We can think of it as a force. And it will do everything against the observable laws Isn't that burp? Why didn't gravity keep that down and make it into a fart? You know, why do the observable laws of density and buoyancy disobey the laws of gravity? Which I'll save it for another time, because I don't have a huge amount of time in this discussion. But I would love to present as my strongest argument. So I'm giving my opponent, I'm not even sure of his name. I can check my emails, but I can't check them while I'm doing this live, because obviously if I open up another window, it shuts this one down, then I have to start all over again. And if you make it into two different videos, I have to upload it as two different uploads. So for the moment, while I'm sitting here in this hot tub, while the world is spinning around me, while air is being windy around me, bear in mind, you know, this is a big part of what my opening statement will be about. That wind doing all this windy stuff, it is the atmosphere. That is the atmosphere, the wind, the air. That it is the atmosphere. So if it's howling around at X amount of miles or kilometers or kilometers per hour, whatever you want to call it, it's still motion. That is real atmospheric motion, and that's what we call wind. And when we have it perfectly still, that wind, which appears to be perfectly still, is now claimed to be moving not just at 1,000 miles per hour, give or take my relative distance to the equator. So it's 1,040 at the equator, and it's only 24 miles per hour just near the poles, and it's something in between, somewhere here, roughly close to the easternmost point of Australia, Cape Byron, easternmost point. Oh, it's probably some 66 bloody degrees anyway, for all I know. Whatever the case is, they're going to claim that when it is perfectly still, that air is moving, give or take, 1,800 miles per hour. That's the given that we're told. So this wind, because some of it's moving, you know, it's coming from a northerly direction at the moment. So some of it's moving crosswise at a diagonal of its particular speed, but the whole planet, right, as it's speeding towards the east at 1,000 or 900 or 800 miles per hour, you know, something supersonic, that all this wind just takes that into account, and it just moves with that plus its own speed. Now, I don't know, I've heard of this bloke called William, and I think he came from a university or college somewhere in a place called Ockham. So this William of Ockham, he had this thing what he called Occam's razor, where it said that the least convoluted explanation for something with the least amount of assumptions is most likely the most correct explanation for what is happening. So what I'm seeing happening is the Earth is stationary, the wind is moving in the direction it's moving, and we do not have to assume that the atmosphere is also moving massive amounts of times faster and harder than the wind, in order to create the illusion of wind, because some of this wind is going backwards. Even though it's blowing you in the face, if you're facing east and you've got a wind blowing you in the face, that wind is moving backwards, slower than the Earth. I mean, come on, can you please stop believing in utter bullshit? The wind moves because the air is moving, and the air is the atmosphere, and the atmosphere is not ripped off into outer space, the absolute vacuum of outer space. Even if it's not a vacuum, even if it's just lesser pressure, the air will seek to equalize with it, apart from its own molecular density gradient, according to the molecular gradient of the individual atoms of the gas particulate matter that it is made of. The individual gas particulate, you know, you can have some gas more dense than other gas, and that's why you have an air pressure gradient. That is why, like, in places I no longer live too near to, they're called a pig slaughterhouse. And what they do, they don't slaughter the pigs, they put them into a cage, into a pen, and they drop them down a well where, I couldn't tell you the particular gas that they use, but that gas is more dense than oxygen, so the oxygen goes up, and so these pigs pass out. So they're as good as dead. And then, I only know this because one of my ex-employees, who I used to employ, he used to work in one of these slaughterhouses, and he told me that when the pigs are brought up, and then what you do is you then go and slit their throat, but not their entire throat, just like that one little vein there and that one little vein there. It's not the carotid, is it? Is that the carotid? That's probably the carotid. The carotid arteries. You go and slit those, and all you need to do is just do a tiny nick, like with a razor blade. Just, that's all you need to do, and then the pig will bleed itself out. And this guy told me about this because on his first day of doing it, he was a newbie, of course, and so when he did it, he is a trained, we won't go into that particular stream of things about assassins and stuff, but he knew exactly where to slit in order to bleed the pig out. And the pig, having just enough consciousness, either regained or held its breath or whatever when it came back, he whacked him with his hind leg and kicked him in the balls. which I thought was kind of like a bit of poetic justice, because you know, if somebody who doesn't know you, doesn't respect you, and comes to kill you and slit your throat, well, at the very least you're going to kick them in the balls. Just a heads up. So basically you've got this pressure gradient of air that has nothing to do with gravity. What is gravity? In Latin it means gravis or gravitas, two Latin words which both translate as weight. So yes, a weight will press down, and that is where the term pressure comes from, something pressing down. So the more air above you, the more of it, the more volume, the more it presses down, the greater the air pressure. You go underwater, you get the same effect. You go a little bit underwater, no problem. Go a bit further, oh, your ears start to feel a bit. You go way down, and that pressure pressing down on you is what can potentially give you the bends if you come up too fast, because the gases in your blood system, which is what we are, we're an air pressure system, or from our lungs. So if those gases don't equalize fast enough, as fast as you are coming up, you will get this thing called the bends. So there is no gravity, there is pressure, and pressure comes from the amount of mass, whether it be air or water, above you. I'm just going to leave it at that, so I can stay in this tub and just chillax, because it's getting really bloody hot in here. Anyway, I think you got the point. This wind cannot exist on a spinning space ball in a vacuum. And if you believe that wind can exist in a spinning space ball in a vacuum, I've got a bridge I'd like to sell you. It's got lovely harbour views. I'll sell it to you half price. See ya.